I will call this meeting to order. I will say the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Bob Casilius.
Here.
Travis Dunlap.
Present.
Jim Meeks.
Here.
Timothy Meunier.
Yes.
Bernie Paparad.
Yes. All right, reorganization. Make a motion, we keep it as it is, Bernie as president and vice president.
Second.
All right. Yes. Any discussion? Every time. Roll call.
Travis Dunlap.
Yes.
Bob Casilius.
Yes.
Jim Meeks.
Yes.
Timothy Meunier.
Yes.
Bernie Paparad.
Yes. And thank you for coming back. We appreciate it. I was at the council meeting that night and I said, I think we've got a pretty good board that works together really well and let's keep everybody here and we got some work coming up before us and we'll get it taken care of. All right. Approval of minutes. So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any other thing? Okay, roll call.
Travis Dunlap.
Yes.
Bob Casilius.
Yes.
Jim Meeks.
Yes.
Timothy Meunier.
Yes.
Bernie Paparad.
Yes. Communications, bills and expenditures, nothing?
Nope.
Report of officers, committee and staff? Nothing. Nothing. I do have a letter from the building commissioner that I will read when we're talking with CIT. All right. Old business, nothing? New business. You're up. You're up.
Can you use the podium, Jill, or are we okay?
You're fine.
Okay, I'm Greg Babcock, as you know, tonight I've got Eric Miner, CEO of CIT Trucks. It's hard to believe, but September of 2021, we were here doing some variance work on the piece of property that is between Campland and the truck stop. Part of what you can do tonight, if you ask, he probably hasn't updated on that, taking some trees down, they purchased steel. I think the walls are gonna be precast. So the big issue there was the wetlands. Had to identify, had to get the corridor approved, and we're all past that now. They closed down the property. All that takes place. And then all of a sudden, Campland settles. Lazy Days takes it. We've had discussions with them about other items. And then they close the site and move their material out, Elkhart, Florida. They've approached CIT about buying the property, so they've entered into an offer to purchase. Contingent on if we're successful with the use that they'd like to have on that particular facility. So this building is about 21,000 square feet, built in 1998 based on property record card. About 6.5 acres. Uses the same entrance that they're gonna be using Lions Drive. They've got 3 other sites where they do kind of this semi-tractor auto body type work. And so if you looked at the material, there's 2 pieces with it this evening. One would be that style of use, heavy and medium duty vehicle body shop repair. And the second request was the new building is gonna get built, but in the meantime, they could start their parts and service activity in the existing building. That would be a plus. That would be a temporary situation. Soon as that occupancy permit's good, leave that site, have everything over on the new site, strictly the body shop repair. I'm gonna have Eric kind of give you an overview. They've got 3 other sites where they do this. And he's much more familiar with that activity. So if you'd stand up and introduce yourself, your address, where you live, and then address the board, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, it's Eric Miner. Home address is 31 Crooked Creek Court in Bloomington. It's hard to say that fast.
Bloomington, Illinois.
Bloomington in Illinois, yeah, Bloomington, Illinois. Okay, and so, yeah, like Greg was saying, this wasn't necessarily a planned move on our part, but when Lazy Days decided to vacate that property, it made sense to us to try to purchase it and put those two together. The body shop is a complement to the dealership. So our three of our dealerships have body shops with them. We've got 15 dealership locations and 3 body shops. So it's not always something that we have at every location. So we have a major body shop in Normal at the original location. That's our biggest body shop. And then that services most of Central Illinois. And then we have one up in Peru, and we have one on the northwest side of the suburbs in Grays Lake. And so this will complement the new dealership from the standpoint that we like to be more or less a one-stop shop. So if people are coming in to buy trucks from us, they're eventually gonna need body work. And rather than tow that all the way down to Bloomington or over to Grays Lake, we can service that northwest Indiana and a lot of the metro region out of this facility. So if you wanted to answer any questions you have specific to the body shop, I don't want to go on with information that would bore you, but in the write-ups, we tried to put in the number of employees you're looking at and the size of the facility, that type of thing. The modifications to the building, it's a good building. We've always liked that building. But we will need to put a body shop paint booth in that end of the building. So that we'll have some modification to construct that, and that's called a downdraft booth. So we'll cut the floor, we'll put bedding in there and that type of thing. And we've got specs on the body booth and those types of things, anything you need to know on that. But other than that, the building's actually ready to go. I was just gonna say that if we had that building to begin with, you know, that it wouldn't really even be a separate business. So basically, if you go to our dealership in Normal, you go to our dealership Peru, and the body shop's right there with everything else. It's all part of the dealership. So it's really not a separate business in that effect. It'll be CIT, and it'll fall under the umbrella of the dealership. Go ahead, Chris, sorry.
You know, again, from an economic perspective, it's always good to let the board kind of know what you think, number of employees, hours of operation. Those are some things that they're gonna ask about. So if you've got some
Okay,
material.
I got a few notes on that.
Sure, thank you.
So we'll most likely have roughly, we'll run 16 to 20 technicians out of that body shop. That will be able to work on 16 to 17 trucks at any one time. And then we'll have roughly 5 to 10 additional staff. So between clerical people, management, estimators, there'll be a parts employee over there because we'll be ordering parts out of that facility. So roughly, I would say, you know, realistically, about 22 to 25 people is probably where we'll be. Hard to project how much something like that will grow. But I think if we look at it that way, we're probably in good shape. The pay, just to give you an idea of what kind of jobs that you'll have, the body technicians are kind of very similar to diesel technicians. It's a high-end job. I would say the body techs are almost like artists in a way. You know, it's got to be a real creative mindset. Everybody can do it. So they're valuable employees. The average pay in The other body shops is $30 an hour. That's the average. The top scale is at about 44 right now for us. And then they get the same benefits that the dealership gets, is full employee benefits with health and matching 401k and PTO. And we've got a fairly aggressive benefit package. Hours of operation on the body shop are just a little different than the dealership. Dealership is a 2-shift operation. The body shops are 1 shift. So very, very difficult to find body techs that are going to work a 2nd shift. They can go about anywhere they want to go. So we decided years ago that we're just going to do 1 shift for the body shop. And then there might be a Saturday or 2 if we get really overrun, where we might ask them to come in and help us on a Saturday morning, but that's real uncommon. So you figure that one would be a 5-day a week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 5. Just some notes that I had, Greg, if I thought if they might want to know the average repair length. You know, people are probably going to wonder, is it going to become a junkyard? What do we got going on here? We've got all kinds of wrecks and everything out there. So obviously there will be wrecks, and they'll be towing in wrecks. That's what we'll work on. The average turn time on a repair for the body shop is about 15 days. Now that can be a paint job that comes in and scheduled in, and we're done in half a day and it's out of there, or it could be a major hit. We've got to overhaul the engine and replace a high percentage of the truck, and that could take 2-3 months at times. So that's it's a wide range of time on how long the truck's going to be there. But we run all kinds of averages on work in process and so forth, and the body shop average is right at 15 days. It's lengthened out a little bit. It was 12 days most of the time that I've been in the business. But then when we went into COVID with the supply chain problems, we've seen some of that lengthen out a little bit because it's harder to get parts. That's kind of taking care of itself at this point. It's not quite back to where we were, but it's a lot better now in terms of getting parts. There are fenced areas out there now. I gotta tell you, I drove by real quick tonight on my way in, but what we would have is what we'd call a bullpen. So we will probably not, it's not that we'll tear down the fencing that's there, it's pretty nice fencing, but we'll have other fencing that has liner strips in it that will have the trucks that are waiting to be repaired will be in there. There'll be takeoff parts. I'm just going to try to cover it for you now. If you want me, if I'm giving too much info, tell me. But there'll be takeoff parts. We'll take off hoods. You know, you'll have a damaged hood. We'll pull that off. You'll see some body shops where it's a real mess. They don't get through that like they should. There's actually money in all that. So we turn that fast. We work with a large body operation out of Wisconsin for the most part, but we sell almost all our scrap and our salvage too. So they come and take it. The deal we have with them is it's not a pick and choose, you know, here's what we got, and they got to take it all. Now, there might be some stuff in there that they'll say there's no value in it, but the deal is you're going to take that for us in return for what we've done for you. So we are pretty anal on that. We keep it clean. That'll all be in a bullpen until it's disposed of. So it'll be some constant flow through there, but it'll all be tagged. It'll be organized, and the public really won't see that. It'll be behind the fence. There's some signage out there. We're kind of open on the signage, I guess. Really what we need is a building sign on the front, on 94 side, and on the back side facing 20 to make sure everybody knows it's a body shop. But our plan would probably be to just use the monument sign that we'd be talking about for the dealership off of 20, off lines of 20. We do a nice monument sign. There'd just be one sign there because, like I said, it's all CAT. When they come in, they'll know where we're going. In terms of, there might be some questions on what do you do with your paint, what do you do with your waste. We kind of went through that a little bit with the dealership with you guys, if you remember back when we presented before. we use a group called KPA, third party, group that comes in and they meet with us, they do inspections on a regular basis, but then they meet with us on our quarterly safety meetings. And they present any findings that they would have related to any risks that we're up against, say if anything's sloppy, if we got any OSHA, potential OSHA issues that we're not on top of, that type of thing. That's what KPA does for us. So mostly going through workplace safety concerns, they'll look at all the MSDS training and make sure we have all the guides in place, that type of thing. And so then that gets into paint and it gets into waste and those types of things. Safety Clean takes all our hazardous materials, so any waste paint is stored in drums that Safety Clean provides, and then they dispose of that on a regular basis. I can't tell you how often, but it's probably at least every month and probably every 2 weeks they come in and pull that waste for us.
Let's see. The second part of our request is that the use of the current building parts sales. Why don't you give an overview, kind of a timeline idea, and it's not open-ended necessarily,
No,
so why don't you do that for me?
so what we tagged in on this is not, it doesn't kill the project at all, but we wanted to ask about it. Right now, I don't know, one of you guys, or maybe somebody's not on the board anymore, had kind of cautioned to me early on about the Army Corps and what we're gonna go through with the wetlands. We had never been through a wetlands deal before for the use.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure because we couldn't sign off on it without the court.
Yeah, right. And well, you hit that on the head. That was a year and a half. It took us to get through that.
Year and a half.
A year and a half. If you remember right, we were in here in the summer and we finally got that done just this past year. So that's when we were able to close on it. Bob Kerr was a pretty patient guy to hang in there the way he did, because it went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. We had at least 5 site plans that had to be drawn to get that all done. So that's done. Our contractor, they have gone ahead and scrubbed the trees now that can be scrubbed. So that's all done. And if you go out there, you might not notice, I think you probably will, you can tell quite a bit's been done. The rest of that, of course, all stays forever now. That the deal with the Army Corps was that we won't pull any more trees. That's the way it's gonna look now. So they've started on the groundwork. We got this terrible cold snap. I was just talking to our contractor on the way out, and he said, tell the guys we're probably looking at the end of February now, before they'll actually be able to get back out and get into the ground. All the precast panels are built and they're in stock in Aurora, and they've been there for about a year. So we've had those paid for about a year. And then the steel is also manufactured and paid for, and just waiting for the steel to go up. So we thought, of course, that we would have that up a lot quicker now, but that's the way it is. So you can't do a whole lot with the ground the way it is, but they're planning on in February, very first part of March, to get back in, and they'll do the groundwork along with the platform for the building and start the building up. So they'll do that in unison. What it usually takes for him to get completely done is about 7 months. That's probably what we're looking at. Whatever that would be, then guys, probably October when we get in. That puts us a little off schedule, but not too bad. So what we were looking to do is, I think Lazy Days will close on this very quickly, and we don't have any that I know of. We don't have any wetlands or anything that would hold us up. This is a pretty clean deal. So what we were asking is, would the city look at giving us some kind of temporary use to start the parts and service side of the dealership over there while we're building the building? And the reason we would do that, like I said, it's not a deal breaker or anything, but the reason we would do that would be to try to start getting staff hired and getting some parts into the system, get out to see the people in the area and start trying to trying to get ahead of things, so when we open that building, we got a little bit of a head start. It's not critical, like I said, it's not gonna keep us from doing what we plan to do, but if we can do it, if you guys are agreeable to it, we could use that building for a while to get the dealership going. So does that sound right?
It's pretty good. That's kind of what I think was important. It's not a long-term deal because it's a
No,
lot of money invested. In buying precast and steel, it's already been sitting for a while. You guys are aware, just like the piece that they're developing, the different style of zoning than what it might have been back when it was built in 1998. Your table indicates this type of use would be that CS1, which is basically the mill properties allowed in your particular community. So that's what the use variance request is for from that perspective there. Temporary, at least a year would be probably the safest thing we could say. If you're so inclined, when we're doing the public hearing, for maybe a year's worth of time that they could be able to use it, get ready, and then shift over to the new building from that perspective there. A couple of cleanup items, I had told Jill, I've got an amended list of property owners. Didn't get it in your packet. It showed a couple, there's about 24 of them, because that piece actually makes it across I-94. And so you've got the row of houses there coming off the Hagelin coming in there. So I'll get that amended list, so you'll have it in your packet. We'll be notifying them, put the notice in the newspaper, post, be prepared. We'll have some material for you, an example of what a commercial paint booth might look like from one of the vendors that they use, so they answer some questions about how they scrub the air, as an example from that perspective there, and how it can be built, as you said, down in floor touch, and then it's ready to roll. But I'll have some of that material for your packet for the public hearing. I know that Lazy Days is anxious to close the sale, as always. But I'd ask you this evening, again, Eric's here, any questions that you might want to have answered for the next meeting, and then set it for your public hearing in February. Who was 27? Yeah, if you consider this evening setting the public hearing for February 27th. So I thank you guys.
Okay, fellas, you got some questions?
I got a few here, if you don't mind. Okay, you said there's gonna be 2 shifts hours, one was 7 to 5, what was the other one?
oh, sorry, I was confusing you on that. The dealership that we've already got approved, the dealership will be 2 shifts, so it works from 7 to midnight over 2 shifts. The body shop will be 1 shift from 7 to 5. Yeah, the body shop, we don't do 2 shifts at the body shop.
And you said, when you were talking about the fence, you said nothing's gonna be visible from 20, correct?
From 20.
Right. Parts, trucks.
Yes, and basically what our feeling is on that, we'll go with what you guys want us to do. Typically, we would build about an 8-foot fence. Now, so when you say is nothing gonna be seen, well, they could see a tractor, a cab roof and that type of thing, but no, the rest of it will be blocked. And if the city said we don't want to see any of it, then we'd figure out how to get a higher.
Okay, what about the north side?
Excuse me.
It's I-94.
Yeah, on I-94, then that will be finished equipment. So when we're done with it, which it looked like a new truck, that's where they'll come and pick that up.
Okay, so again, parts won't be seen from the 94 either.
No,
Okay.
no, what our plan is to have a fenced area off of 20 up a little closer to the building.
Right.
And have that blinded, and have our, what people would consider our junk, have that.
Okay. You mentioned, Mr. Babcock, that you got a report from the Corps. Do we have a copy of that?
I would, from that perspective, I imagine Eric's got to submit that as part of the building process. the report from the court.
And guys, I wish I could tell you, I can't remember, we went through so much, I thought we did, I thought we gave that to the building.
Okay.
I think Chuck has it.
Yeah.
I think the building commissioner has it for them to.
Okay, all right,
That was
well,
part of the checklist. For them to go
Or
through.
if you're not, on your guys'
For
list,
them to get a building.
right, to get a building permit, that core material, we gotta have the release
Right.
and the designation of the area.
Right.
yeah, exactly, because they'll cordon everything off, it's very exact, so, yeah.
Okay, the last question I got is, maybe I'm confused here, but I don't recall discussing the second building when you originally came in here.
No, we did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that second building with the building commissioner? Does he know about it, or?
What second building we're talking about?
Builder.
No, they're not building the second building. The first building is a CAT.
Right.
With the truck dealership.
Right.
The other one is Camp Land,
We're gonna.
which is already there.
Right,
Gotcha. All
yeah,
right.
Okay.
that's what that's what we meant.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no second building.
All right, yeah.
So it's already existing,
Right.
structures, parking lots.
Yeah,
Whatever.
fortunately, I mean, those are some positive points,
Yes.
parking areas,
Right.
buildings in pretty good shape.
Okay.
Okay, so, but I'll save the last one for discussion, but, I'm gonna have comment. But my last comment is, so this is a preliminary hearing, this isn't the
Right.
business.
Right.
Okay, so, all right. Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could just ask a couple questions, just so I understand everything. Traffic is the same as we discussed in 2021, there's not additional traffic with what you're planning, it's the same as before.
Well, no, there will be some additional traffic, but it really will be minimal. I mean, it's just gonna be, they'll be towing in wrecks as they happen. And you don't see where the dealership will have customers coming on a regular basis to pick up parts or to check on their truck, that kind of thing. With the body shop, you hardly see the owner. It's kind of a different business. They'll tow it in. This could be from Wyoming, let's say, and they had a wreck out on 94. They'll tow it in, and that customer won't probably ever show up. You know, the insurance adjuster will come in and look at the truck, write the bid on it, we'll fix it, and then it'll get towed out or driven out.
The only reason I mentioned that is I was just concerned if there's any DOT or Indiana DOT that has to be addressed, so.
Well, I think one thing, if I could interrupt, just, it's gonna offset with the traffic of what Camp Land or Playland or whatever it was called at the end there ahead. And they were pulling motorhomes and campers.
Oh,
and,
okay, all right.
You know,
And- and
it's just gonna offset it.
Yeah,
One from the other, and they might have had more traffic than what,
I would
What
assume they
they're
would
gonna
have
have.
more.
okay,
Just because they're a dealership, kind of like we're doing, so they would have had RVs
Okay.
coming and going pretty regular.
And they were doing repair.
right,
yeah, so just go through a checklist of just.
Sure.
No,
Yeah.
no, yeah, it's great,
Last time,
but yeah,
so.
that's kind of the,
Okay,
one reason we were comfortable at least covering is because we felt we had a good balance. There's traffic won't be there, ours will be a little bit different animal,
mhm.
it's not gonna be that heavy retail, or retail eventually be in the new building from that perspective there.
okay. The other question I had too is lighting. Obviously, you're gonna be working till midnight after you mentioned that. So is there gonna be a lot more lights put up? What do you have in mind? Just kind of curious what you're planning on.
You're not working at midnight on this side.
Oh, I thought it was for the dealership over.
No, dealership is not anything involved in this tonight. It's just the Camp Land, whether they can come in with a body shop in there. And it's
Mhm.
5 days a week, maybe a half day on Saturday. And it's from, you said 7 to 5.
Oh, I apologize then. I thought it was the parts part that was going in ahead of time, sorry.
There you go.
They wanna put a temporary, while they're building
Oh,
for
okay.
the dealership, they wanna put a temporary in there. Is this what I'm saying? You wanna work on
But it's
it?
still, but it's, Bernie, it's still a fair question, if we're in there temporarily,
Mhm.
Tim's asking about, let's say,
Okay.
the lighting and the activity of employees, so that's a good
Okay, yeah,
response.
you're right. Okay, so
Okay.
talking about the temporary,
It's only preliminary hearing. I
Yeah.
No,
just-
no, but it's good for us to know, if we gotta get you more material.
So we would, then in that case, let's say for a year, and you grant us the authority to go in and run the dealership out there for a year, you'd have maybe not, well, you wouldn't have the amount of traffic we talked about earlier because this building isn't as big, and it's only, we are not gonna have, used truck inventory there during that year. We'll just get our parts and service started so we can go out into the public and try to get them accustomed to CIT being here. But then, once that's done, once we've opened the dealership, that's what I was talking about earlier, the body shop itself, it won't really have a whole lot of traffic. It'll have wrecks coming and going, and that's basically it. There's no real retail parts being sold out of there. So it's not good. I would tell you, I would almost bet on it that the RV store would have had much more traffic in and out than we'll have at a body shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jim asked the rest of the questions. I really only have one other one. I'm assuming everything's gonna be locked up, the gates be locked up at night when it's closed, everything like that.
Yes,
Okay.
you'd asked about lights real quick. I went out there tonight, just wondering if I could see the trees like I was telling you. And I didn't realize it was that well lit. So I'm not sure that we will have much more lighting there than what's there now. Now, once the dealership goes, then you got the lighting plan we put through on that. There'll be a lot of lighting over there, but, this is pretty well lit. I don't know if y'all seen it at night. They took.
We all live right
Yeah.
here.
They live right there, they're nearby.
I was just trying to get a mental picture of what you had planned, that's all.
No, Tim, those are good questions.
Yeah.
For us.
But yeah, that's all I had.
Okay.
Well, I think on the lighting, the one thing we have to protect, and I know it's the people on the other side of the expressway, the houses there. And I think we have it in our deal that it can't.
It's gotta stay on site.
It can't be anything else, and I think that's our number one priority, to keep those as, not lit up as it can be.
I did not notice you guys tonight. I just noticed it was pretty well lit. But the
Yeah.
dealership, everything that we have will be downward,
Downward.
low light.
Right.
I don't know if that building was built long ago and doesn't have it. I can't tell you, but it was pretty well
I think
lit.
nobody's complained.
Yeah. It looks nice. I mean, it's nice and clean.
I think the only thing they did complain about one time when I was on here was they had a loudspeaker out there.
Oh, yeah.
And
Paging.
they'd say, oh, Joe, come and answer the phone or something like that, and they could hear it all the time over there. So we'd have to limit that up and everything, and I think that was the one main, if you remember right, that was the one main complaint we had.
And so that you guys know, we did not use, pagers over speakers and stuff. So
Okay.
our guys carry cells and now inside I'm not gonna say somebody might not hear at some point, but inside you have a speaker that would say, hey, Joe, pick up line 1, that kind of thing that most companies have.
Okay. Yes, sir, Travis?
Frequency, you talked quite a bit about salvage parts, right, the recovery process and that. I know it's been a while since I've driven past Purdue or Normal. So any imagery, like to kind of give a good visual, that would be helpful, I think, for
Yeah, we can
public
do that.
purposes. Beyond that, as far as frequency of pickup for that type of stuff, I assume, the repair process, it's as, repairs occur or are needed. Is that cycle, weekly, monthly, or far more than that?
It's kind of hard to say. It depends on what our volume is, because they won't come and pick up just a hood, or they might come and pick a cab up. But so typically we'll call them, and we'll have everything tagged, and we might have a half a dozen hoods and a cab, and we'll have axles and different things, and so we'll call them and say, we're ready to have you come and pick it up. I wish I could tell you, I've kind of gotten removed from that a little bit, so I don't know how often it is anymore. But I would say in normal, it's fairly often. That's a big job. Yeah.
Okay, nothing, question. You're not thinking about having a blast booth in here, are you?
Sandblasting, no, we do in normal. We do have a sandblast. It's inside the building. So it's not like you'll see with a lot of people who want to put a three-sided block
Yeah,
structure up and spray all over the place. But we do have one in normal. It's inside the building and it's in its own room. It's got its own air makeup. It's got its air makeup system and everything. So this building isn't quite big enough to do it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say that if it was big enough, that's an advantage to us to be able to do our own sandblasting, but we'll have to farm that out the way it is now. Everything that we'll do, you guys, it's all gonna be, and according to Hoyle, to the environmental and so forth, it'll be big air makeup systems. Those are the, when I said modification, everything that'll modify that building. So it'll be a building as it is, but when we put the booth in now, you'll see some modification because we'll put in a big air makeup system that'll filter the air and.
Okay. I know, last company I worked for was, we had a big shop in Riverdale, Illinois, and it had a paint booth. And then people were there constantly checking your filters, checking the conditions of this and that. And the EPA people were there, and the only thing they did get in a problem with was sandblasting, you know? So I want to make sure that, and I know sometimes you gotta blast, but you say you're gonna do it out, but that'll be off premises?
We'll have to find somebody, there'll be somebody close by, that'll do that,
Okay,
and we'll have to find them. Like I said, you guys, the businesses evolve over time, so if we ran into a problem with that and we couldn't find somebody, or couldn't find somebody reliable, you know, we may come back at some point and say, hey, we're gonna add 3 booths to this shop and we wanna have sandblasting, but we can show you what we do so that you don't get into that problem you guys got into at times possibly. They're all, that has its own air makeup system. All the guys look like astronauts when they go in there. I mean, they got all their makeup on their helmets and their masks and their clothes, and so it's got to be done now. It's not like it was when I first started, where the guys just go in and start painting. You know,
Yeah.
it's totally different now.
big time.
Yeah.
I've got one other deal about this temporary permit. What do you think, instead of like a full year, what if we give you so many days after your certificate of occupancy?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay,
You know,
that's
we'll
good, Mark.
figure that out, understand what I'm saying, so we don't give them a year. Let's just certificate out like 15 days after you should have everything moved over, ready to go.
Okay,
How does you guys,
that's something that we can
Yeah.
offer as part of the findings.
but that'll get us out of a year deal, so it
Sure.
could be October.
Mhm.
You're out of there over where your dealership, and this one is just a straight up paint booth
Okay.
or,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the thing that Greg and I are talking about, we don't want anybody to think, well, now they're gonna use this building and kind of hold up, we're full bore ahead on that. We've got to have that building up. This building wouldn't be near big enough to do what we're doing. So the idea would be that we'll get that occupancy permit, we're over there going, and hopefully we would be closing up the seams at that point on this little building, but,
okay,
and so the body shop, you guys, we would probably then start that after we moved. Just so everybody knows, if we get the temporary, will be parts and service, there won't be enough room to start the body shop just yet. So once we get into the new building, then we'll start the body.
so it's to your advantage to get out of there as quick as you
Exactly,
can.
Brian. I think that's exactly, we've talked about it, is
And that's why I say, let's put it after so many days after certificate of occupancy, you've done.
Right.
that
parts
one
and
and
service
do this.
there. Okay,
Okay, I have one other deal here, fellas, and this is from the building commissioner. it was in an email, I don't know if you guys all got it. It said, I apologize for not being able to attend the upcoming BZA meeting. This email may be used as my official opinion regarding the use variance application for CIP trucking at 1171 Lions Drive. The description of the new use of the property, in my opinion, is very similar to the past use. I feel that it would be a seamless transition from one business to the other. Thank you, Chuck Hanson. Okay, thank you. So that's what our building commissioner thinks. All right. Any other questions?
We're gonna do findings.
Okay,
In the original request for this property way back in 1989, they allowed them to do front yard parking. Okay, that's not gonna be allowed. Not gonna be parking anything towards 20.
Towards 20?
The variance says, permitted front yard parking. If you're doing that.
Well, he's gonna put the bullpen,
I understand that, so what I'm saying, though,
but anything after the
right, I
bullpen,
don't, yeah,
you're gonna have the field. After you do your bullpen, the field up there is gonna be nothing in it. You're not gonna try to put trucks off of your other business in there.
No, but I didn't know that it was prohibited, so I'm glad you told me, because we will have, just so everybody knows, when you see that, Chuck gives you that site plan that we ended up with the Army Corps. It'll show the parking, and the parking on the leadership building now, not this body shop. It fingers around to the sides. So there are parking lots on the east and the west up to 20.
okay, parking lot and parking, two different things here.
Okay.
so what I think Jim's more concerned about is you've got your Lazy Days building,
Yeah,
and you talked about having potentially vehicles needing to be repaired on the, what we call the south side
Correct.
toward 20. You're gonna have your privacy fence from that perspective. Question, I think what we're trying to get at is, we're not taking that fence all the way up to US 20.
no,
It's gonna come off.
See what Campland used to do, they parked their new trailers there.
Yeah.
All the way down.
To sell.
But one,
Never see semis parked there.
right,
No, so what's important though is that blinder fence we're talking about is gonna be on that south side, because there's paving there,
mhm,
but we're not coming up to 20.
okay,
So if it's in, a thought might be, is maybe we'll designate in the new findings. We might say, hey, the first 200 feet open space, then a blinder fence. From there to the building is where we're gonna have the items that we're gonna work on. So I'll try to come up with a depth that I think is kind of
Right, well,
reasonable.
but you
No,
understand.
no, I know, because otherwise Campland would have them all the way
all
out.
the way to the,
To the height.
to the fence.
Right.
Right, so we don't want semis parked up.
No, I get it, okay,
Okay, as long as you understand what I want.
no, I get it.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
I make a motion that we go to a public hearing.
I'll second that.
all right, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? Nothing? Nothing? Okay, roll call.
Timothy Meunier,
Yes.
Travis Dunlap,
Yes.
Bob Casilius,
Yes.
Jim Meeks, Bernie Paparad.
Yes. All
All
right,
right, guys, and we'll get the material for you, try to get a
Yeah.
picture of the peruse site, so you got kind of an overview of what it might look like.
get us some drawings of what
Get
you're
some
doing.
drawings, so we can say, hey, this particular drawing indicates there's this, I'm gonna call it 200 foot of relief here. That's part and parcel of the finding, is that
Okay.
the binder's gotta be from there back to the building. And what
Okay.
it's used for.
All right.
Thank you guys very much, we appreciate it.
We'll see you, what, the
And,
27th?
and the fella.
Okay,
okay,
well, just get with Jill if you need anything.
Yeah,
And we'll-
and I got, like I said, I got some things I've got to, Tyler, I got an amended list of property owners. That'll get turned in advance from that.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll get everything taken care of.
okay.
All right, so you're gonna work with him?
Yeah.
I know he'll be there,
I
get you going.
yeah, I already called her today.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Good in order of any other business. I have something.
I have some, so go ahead. You're the president.
You go first.
All right, I asked Jill to look this up for us because I don't know. Does Nissan have a permit to put that sign on Old Porter Road that's been there for 4 or 5 months now?
Yeah,
That's
sitting
just
outside.
convenient when it sits there.
I
I've been watching.
I bet they don't, so.
I would say, but she's gonna have to talk to the building committee.
Right, she's gonna look it up for us, but,
Yeah,
you know, it needs to
but I would
go.
almost say the same thing, it needs to go.
Right, it's been there too long, but it's become a fixture.
Are you gonna bring up about the lot over there with the Corvette and the truck?
No, I was.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Cause yeah, I just wanted to talk to Tyler and I had talked to him about it before. Is there any way we can bring the 2 people back in here? Cause of what we granted them in the minutes isn't what they're doing at the old Z-Bar building. With the Corvette, the boat, the lawnmowers, everything else sitting in the back there.
Yeah, as long as that was a condition of granting the special exception, which I believe it
That
was,
was-
reviewing this.
Everybody's deal, it was sent, should you send them a letter and have them here?
Yeah, I think they need to give a notice of what the defect is, what they need to cure, and then what the potential penalties are.
Okay, that comes from us, or should it come from the building commissioner? Yep. So maybe you get over there tomorrow.
I've talked to the building commissioner, and he went over there, and it's like, okay, and nothing has changed. I'll go see the building commissioner again, I'll take that on and get him going and send him a letter and say, hey, you're in non-compliance of what was granted to you, and go from there.
I agree.
Cause I, you know,
We were real clear on that.
yeah, no cars sitting, oh, it's 30 days, you know, no cars sitting in front, no cars this, no other things there, but what you're. And I know what he's saying, well, that's my dad's boat. I don't care whose boat it is.
Yeah.
That's the same thing what I said, I don't care. All right, I'll stop and see him and we'll go.
Also too, what about the buses? What was the final verdict on that?
They had to come in for a
Oh,
2 variances
they're in
and
the
they
Oh,
they have not contacted me. I
They
reached out to
haven't
them several
contacted,
times.
but he did go there,
Yeah,
Building.
the building commissioner went down there and they,
Okay, that's good.
they
they've
needed
been
2
told what they
variances,
had
yeah.
to do and everything else, and he's working on it. They just haven't, I've been talking with Jill, they haven't, cause I thought they might be trying to be.
They haven't
for this
returned
movie
anything.
And everything else. And a little tricky deal about that is when they were granted stuff there, it was on a different zoning map.
Okay.
So we'll have to go back and look when they,
I'm pretty sure it wasn't a commercial business.
That is still residential.
now, but it wasn't when they bought it, it was, I forget what it was, I'll have to go back and get an old book.
There's a river there, I'm pretty sure it wasn't commercial.
Yeah, on top of that too, the Army Corps of Engineer issue comes up too, to do all that clearing of land, all the way down.
Oh, yeah.
Drainage issues.
And raising
Yes.
the grade,
Yeah, because whatever we do, we have to sign off on it, we're on the hook.
yeah.
Well, we'll address that when it comes here, because otherwise, I'm putting a strip club at my property, okay?
That's covered. Big time.
Hold on, he can have a business in his backyard, I can have one too. Now, the last thing I'd like to bring up for the good and the order of the community, I just want you to know that on my way into town this evening, I went behind where the boat and the Corvette are, and the very next driveway there, I almost got hit from the guy pulling out of there. Oh, that's right, I brought that up when we talked about that building not to have an access, but alas, we did. So,
I wasn't here.
just letting you know,
I know, I know, but that's the whole thing with that back driveway, that's the first thing. It come in the deal about, there was no culvert in there. Remember, he just wanted to
Right.
flip it through, so we'll go from there. All right, anything else?
Just one comment, I apologize to the board members, but I already planned fishing trips, so I might miss it the 3 meetings this year. So,
Okay, we discussed it at the town council, you're not permitted, so.
okay.
No, don't talk to me about that, because they made a town council member that never made, 2 boards, never made 1 meeting, and she still got paid.
Don't we have rules for that?
Yeah.
I'm
That's,
pretty sure there's a town rule for that.
that's what I thought, and everything, and she got
We,
2 checks. I'm telling you.
back in the early nineties, we had a problem and they come up with a rule. I'm pretty sure there's a rule about that.
It's like 2 consecutive meetings.
I think, to me, if there isn't a rule, there should be a rule
I'm pretty sure there is.
right now,
Right
so.
now, I've got June, July, and it's like October, I won't be there, so.
It just depends, maybe June, July, and October, we might not have meetings anyhow,
That's
so.
true, but at least one thing.
We want to
Very
very
excited.
excited, but it looks like the next couple, 2, 3, 4 months, we're gonna have a meeting. Okay, fellas, thank you, thanks for being here. And we'll.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah,
All right,
make a motion.
okay, motion second, roll call.
Travis Dunlap,
Yes.
Bob Cecilia,
Yes.
Jim Meeks,
Yes.
Timothy Meunier,
Yes.
Bernie Paparad.
Okay. Yes.